Welcome, everyone. I'm Juan Estrada with District 5 United. District 5 United strives to improve the quality of life in East San Jose and citywide as necessary. We facilitate communication between decision makers and community members. We also have guests who present information on things that may impact the quality of life in East San Jose. And tonight we're joined by Ryan Ford, and I'll hand it off to you, Ryan.
Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I have a presentation that I'd like to go through, and then we can leave it open for questions at the end. And I can go back to any particular slide if you'd like, to go along with your question. There's about 15, 16 slides. I'll just go through and then we can start over at the beginning and go through questions if you'd like. With that, share my screen. All right, what you are seeing is the central plaza that was called for in the Pleasant Hills Guiding Principles. This leads out to a park space, and this would be seen as the community and cultural center of the development. This, as you'll see on the site plan, is planned near the corner of Tully and White. We also are showing a conceptual rendering of how we plan to treat the park spaces in line with what we heard in the guiding principles, which was natural, drought-tolerant landscaping. And so we've tried to show what that would look like, with pedestrian pathways and trying to re-oak the site, because it was an oak savanna habitat as well as wildflower meadows. That's the natural habitat that we were trying to restore on the site. So we want to share with folks, how much engagement the developers have done. And so, we've gone out and met with a number of community organizations, and presented in front of some of those organizations, as well as District 5 United. I think this is my second time presenting. And that's, on top of the city-led engagement process which many of you are familiar with, which started back in April 2023 when the City Council approved and funded a months-long plan with six meetings, 3 in person, 3 virtual, and 2 surveys to collect community input and feedback and be able to present it to the developer in a comprehensive manner. So those guiding principles went to the Planning Commission in September 2024 and were approved by the mayor and city council in October. And since then, we have been working to accommodate the litany of principles and amenities and different things spelled out in these guiding principles, and how can we do our best to accommodate each and every one of them, quite frankly. So moving on, this is an updated site plan that the developers have filed with the city this week. It is for a total of 2,000 housing units. There's a mixed use component, like I said, at the corner of White and Tully. That's number 4, shaded in purple, and that's where we showed the rendering looking out onto that central park. The other park we're sort of referring to as a neighborhood park, but we're showing with this site plan a gradual change in the density from the existing large lot single family homes that exist along Flint Crest and Flint and Vista Verde, and how to increase the density gradually over the site, as spelled out again in the guiding principles. Again, 2,000 new homes, a net density of 32 units an acre. This includes market rate for sale single family homes and townhomes. Um, they would be in different densities and different configurations, even different heights. So there would be a mix, but that's what they qualify as, and they would all be for sale. Um, Except in square number 4, those would be rental apartments. You'd have market rate apartments as well as affordable senior and multifamily apartments. There's a total of 14 acres of parkland proposed here, with a linear park along White Road, the Central Park, a neighborhood park, and a dog park that we're proposing but haven't located on the site plan yet. So we'd like input and feedback on that. The developers are committing to build a community center on the site, and noting pedestrian and bike pathway connections to move residents across the site, connecting them with Lake Cunningham and to VTA light rail, and providing safe pathways for students that would be traveling east along the site in the morning to go to school. Here are some of the conceptual architecture types that we're looking at. Again, these are concepts, but we wanted to present an idea of what does a single family front-loaded home versus a cluster that's loaded in the alley, right, where the garages are in the alley. How does that differ from 2-story and 3-story townhomes? And as we move up in the density, on the left, we have stacked flats. So it's 4 stories. The first story would be a single story flat, and then there would be a 3-story townhome above that. And that would be a for sale product. On the right is the mixed use product, where you would have rental apartments, affordable apartments, senior apartments, and ground floor retail. A lot of the development is trying to address the missing middle housing types, where these are housing types in between single family homes and full mixed use development. And we're, with this, trying to expand the spectrum of affordability so that, first time home buyers and, residents and young professionals and seniors have an opportunity to buy a place that works for them. Um, this is, again, the concept for the Central Plaza and a rendering showing what it would look like activated with ground floor neighborhood serving retail. We're envisioning trying to attract a restaurant and cafes, shops. A market was something that was heavily requested in the guiding principles development process. We've spoken about a community center. We've talked about ways to activate this space with a farmer's market or festivals, creating a stage for performances on the park at the backside of this shot with grass seating, and you can, bring musical performances, do outdoor movies, but thinking about how we use this space to create community. Back to natural park spaces, and we wanted to share the health benefits of parks. And it's not just the access to recreation that can boost public health and increase life expectancy, but there are important physical and biological, chemical, psychological benefits of being close with nature. And we've tried to, create a concept where people can get out of their homes and apartments and connect with nature and reap some of those benefits and rewards. So we'll be sharing this later, and you can check our sources, but there's a whole host of science about the benefits of trees and natural plants in your local environment. So we'd like to preserve the tree canopy as much as possible and plant the site with native drought tolerant landscaping. Talked about native oak savannas and wildflower meadows, connecting to nature, and pedestrian pathways to create connections to light rail and Lake Cunningham Park. And with that, it's the end of my presentation, and I'd love to open it up for questions.
All right. Good evening. Good afternoon.
Evening, Craig.
I'm not familiar, but who is the developer?
It is the company is called Lakeside Community. It is a
Okay.
few partners, but the main developers are from a company called Terrascape, and it's Tony Ariola and Mark Lazzarini. They are both San Jose residents and have done a number of developments in the city of San Jose.
So it's Terrascape is the name of the company?
Yes.
Terrascape. Okay. When is this, if everything goes well, when do you guys propose to start it and how long will it take?
I'd say if everything went well, development could start in 2 to 3 years. And there would be as many as 6 to 8 phases of development. So, that could take a number of years, as many as 10 years to fully build out the site. But one of the first things that would need to be done is infrastructure on the site. So there would be a phasing schedule that would be approved by the council, and it would stipulate what needs to be developed up front. And a lot of those community amenities would would need to be bonded and built at the front end of the process.
Okay. So basically a 10-year project,
Could
starting
be. It
in
could be.
about 2 to 3 years.
Uh,
Okay. Well,
and
not
those
looking
are
to
estimates, sir. Please don't hold me to
Yeah,
it. That's
I'm
my
not going
best
to come
guess.
back. Yeah, I'm not going to come back to you in 12 years and say you told me it'd be done in 10. So
Thank
don't
you.
worry about
Thank you.
that.
I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. I appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Next
Katja,
is
I see your question about the trees. Thank you very much. We're not ready to um, we're not ready to answer, really. That the work hasn't been done and that decision hasn't been made. So the next iteration of the presentation that I just shared will answer that information. I think we'll be ready by then. We're getting feedback from a number of city departments. I'm hoping this week or next. And so we'll be able to take that feedback, put more money back into this plan and take it to the next step. At which point I've asked the developers to let me create a page or two to talk about the trees, the tree canopy, what we can preserve, and how we plan to offset and mitigate the rest.
And Ryan, I promoted Katja to panelist, and so Katja, if you'd like to share audio and or video, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I'm pleased to see that, there's going to be an effort to preserve existing trees. So I would just like to encourage that.
Thank you, Katja. We're encouraged, I promise. And I am joining you in encouraging the developer to do as much as they can. But by rolling out the concept of the natural green spaces, that's a big commitment for them at this stage. So I'm encouraged by the direction it's headed.
All right, next is Norma.
Hi, yes, I have a question. With everything becoming electric, are they going to provide electric charging stations? Especially,
Yes,
where would they be located?
that I don't know precisely, but what I would um, my educated guess is that they will be at number 4, and there's going to be parking on the ground floors of 4 to serve the retail component as well as the apartments, and there will be charging stations in those. And we talked about just today how those could be.
But this would be for your electric cars, right?
Yes,
That's what
correct.
I'm talking about. Okay. And how about access to Wi-Fi and, you know, uh, is that going to be available for each, different places or?
I, I don't know exactly. What I do know is that once the site is developed, there will most likely be community facility districts or homeowners associations that would
Well,
be helping to maintain, and there may be multiple across the site that coincide with the different development phases.
like a cell tower, would that be required? Because you're competing with other neighbors, right? So,
Yes, yes,
your network will slow down if you do not provide, you know, access to other cell towers in the
definitely.
area.
Yes, that we know we're not there in the planning effort yet.
Mhm.
That's, still waiting for city staff to come back with a lot of comments, but certainly
Mhm.
I will note that and try and be able to show you at some point how we plan to address the additional cell load and Wi-Fi and how that could broaden access, to residents on the site and maybe surrounding the site as well.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Lawrence.
Hey Ryan, a couple questions, please. You mentioned the missing middle housing, and
Yes, sir.
I think I missed something. So is this something which is like it's missing, it's never going to be there, or it's missing and that's still being determined how to fit it in?
No, it's a term that land planners are sort of using to describe a housing type that doesn't exist in great quantity in San Jose. And there are different reasons for that, but you normally see a traditional large lot single family house or a 5-story apartment building, and there's not much in between. And so, we're looking at a variety of small lot single family homes, a variety of townhome products, and just trying to lower that entry purchase price,
Okay.
as reasonably as we can, given that we're in Silicon Valley.
Okay,
But
thank you.
but the idea is to provide affordability by design. So if you're designing a smaller unit with shared walls, it's more affordable for a resident than a traditional large lot single family home, which has unfortunately priced many of us out, including myself and many of our kids. Um, so that's the idea about, affordability by design, and that missing middle housing types is just providing more options for people to be able to buy homes.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question, or right now, is so what's the thinking about traffic mitigation? It's 2,000 units shopping, right? That's a pretty, we already have a lot of congestion over there with
Yes.
Tully Story. What's the thinking?
So there are traffic mitigation measures that the developer will have to fund. They will be contributing over $30 million towards those improvements. We haven't yet gotten any feedback from the Department of Transportation, so we haven't advanced that conversation far as to what those measures will be. I can tell you we had a conversation today, and this is kind of my pet issue that I keep pushing is that regardless of whether 1 unit or 2,000 units are built at this Pleasant Hills site, Tully Road is heavily congested. It's a huge problem, and we're intimately familiar with that problem. We've all lived here for decades and know that something needs to be fixed to make that road move. 3 lanes in each direction shouldn't be as broken as it is right now. And we think that we can contribute a lot towards solutions to synchronize those traffic lights, to get traffic moving properly, especially at Tully and 101, where it's just a parking lot the last couple Saturdays I've been out there. So I think a lot can be done to improve how the existing infrastructure works. And we're aware that, it's not just our project that will need to be mitigated and accommodated. There's, future development potential close by in this neighborhood. So we don't want to exacerbate what's already a pretty terrible situation along Tully Road. And we think this could be a catalyst to larger solutions on that heavily traveled thoroughfare. And so, we're going to start conversations here with some of the neighborhood leaders in District 8 about how maybe we can work together and identify some funding. Maybe the city, maybe the county can come together, the developer can put in some money, and we can, do more than just mitigate the traffic around the site, but really make a measurable difference in your commute.
All right. Okay. So, Louis, you've declined to share your audio and video. Again, I'm reiterating what I put in the chat. Please feel free to pose your question or comment via Q&A. And next up, Craig Ferguson asks, how will the light rail component work?
It's a great question, Craig. For those, who don't know the light rail extension that's being built now and the terminus will be at East Ridge Mall, essentially. So that is about 0.9 miles from the site. One thing we're doing up front is planning for pedestrian and bike paths to try and link up with the pathways at Lake Cunningham and at least, be preserving space to provide safe pedestrian and bike pathways to that light rail terminus. Beyond that, it really goes back to the discussion about traffic mitigation, that this will be part of that very same conversation, that we'll be working with the Department of Transportation to prioritize how those $30 million are spent. And maybe it's providing shuttles for residents to get to that light rail station. Maybe it's working with VTA to upgrade their bus line on Tully Road from every 30 minutes to every 15 minutes. Right now, there's an express line on White Road up and down that is every 15 minutes. So enhanced benefits from VTA come with having that designation and would have a much faster way of connecting people. So those are conversations we are having, but we'll really pick up some steam and get started when we get some feedback from the Department of Transportation. And that could have happened today even. So as with this next iteration of the presentation, including slides about tree preservation and mitigation, I will also be coming back with information about traffic mitigation and what we have planned and to get feedback, because there is still plenty of time to take feedback and make changes.
All right, and let me see. I should point out, Louis, just in case you're not familiar with it, when I say the Q&A feature, what I mean is that probably in the middle of the menu on your screen, there are the letters Q and A. And if you click that, you'll be able to add text like a question or comment. And that is how your question or comment can be read for you. And now we have Lawrence rejoining to pose another question. And there you are whenever you're ready, Lawrence. You're on mute, Lawrence, if you're speaking.
Well, I can see. Oh, there you go.
I apologize. I'm sorry. What will be the number of affordable housing units like below market rate? And I apologize if you already talked about that.
I didn't. And again, this will be better spelled out in the next iteration. But we are planning 16% of the units to be affordable. So that's 320 units. I believe that half of those will be moderate income levels, and the other half will be low income and very low income levels.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone, I will give it about 10 more seconds. I believe that is the last question. I'm sorry, Louis, that unfortunately you're unable. Oh, there we go, Yolanda. Yolanda, I'll go ahead and promote you to panelist. We'll give it about 10 more seconds. And then Zoom will let me know if you are joining as a panelist. Ryan, if you're sharing your email, you may want to just say it out loud as well.
Okay, great. I'm putting my email here so that, anybody, if you want to reach me offline, you can talk more or just shoot me a question, please do. I'm always available. I'm going to type my email address in the text box. I look forward to hearing from you.
Let me double check something. Ryan, you might want to repost it. You have to select option where it says to who, put to everyone. It went to host and panelists.
I don't even get the option to go to everyone. I just get
Oh,
host
okay.
panelists and then just you.
Okay, so let me share it for you.
Please, thank you.
Forward. And Jose, I'll be with you in just a second. Let me not misspell Ryan Forward Communications outcome. There it goes. I've shared your email address.
Thank you, sir.
And Jose, I am going to promote you to panelist. Give me just a second. Thank everyone for your patience. And Jose declined, so I'll read his comment, which is building more houses is more important than preserving the trees. We need more houses.
I would like to respond by first saying I hear you, Jose. Second, by saying that we're really trying to do as much as we can, and if that's building as many houses as we think the market can reasonably absorb, and if we can also preserve the tree canopy, especially throughout the green spaces, so that residents aren't waiting 10 years for shade, but it's there when they buy their home. We hope we can do both.
Oh, Lewis did join. Lewis, if you're talking, you're on mute. Yolanda, I'm promoting you to panelist. And she's rejoining now. Yolanda, go ahead. You're not on mute, but we can't hear you. You may want to use a Q&A feature because we still can't hear you, but it doesn't show that you're on mute, so your mic may not be working. Yolanda, now you're on mute. Louis, your video works. You're on mute.
I am trying to switch off mute.
Oh, you were off mute. Whatever you did, do it again. You were off mute. There,
There.
you're not on mute, so you can speak now and we should be able to hear you, Louis.
Yes, my concern is we have been through this before within a decade of what was going on with the golf course there. Now, what you are proposing here, is this really going to happen, or will there be something to circumvent it where it will not happen?
A great question. I am very aware of previous efforts to develop the site. And back when KB Homes was working on this project between 2005 and 2013. So I know that you have been through this before, and you have put in a lot of time and effort for a project that never came to fruition. Um, I would say that there's a big difference today. And it's been brought about by the housing crisis and unaffordability. And not that this valley was very affordable back when this project was being proposed then, but it's gotten much less so. And the city is under tremendous pressure from the state to permit new housing units. They have a state mandate of 62,000 new housing units that they need to permit by 2031. And I don't think anybody is under the illusion that they'll accomplish that goal. Nonetheless, they are under pressure to show progress. And so that has shifted the conversation tremendously at City Hall. I have found in neighborhoods that the conversation has also shifted in the last 8 to 10 years, that the level of unaffordability has gotten so high that communities that had previously denied any new housing, started to take it as somewhat of a responsibility to say yes to housing. So I think that the conversation at City Hall has evolved over the last 3 years, but I can confidently tell you that this is real, that it is moving forward, that I am optimistic that it will come to fruition and in some manner. The conversation seems to be about how much we build as opposed to whether they build or not. And that conversation back in 2008, 2010, I think they were still talking about if they build or if they don't. And now it's just a question of, how many homes. And certain entities in the city want to see more, and plenty in the neighborhood want to see less. And we've tried to balance that political target, knowing that this isn't downtown, this isn't an urban village, and trying to be respectful of the existing neighborhood.
So right now, are any of the entities now that are proposing to build uh, this big, massive home home complex, uh, are they going to be, uh, I guess, you know, put upon them that they have to put any kind of financial uh, resources up front, so to secure that they will succeed in their proposed will come to fruition?
Yeah, I mean they have put up a lot up front to develop this proposal, to do environmental studies and traffic studies. It's been a significant investment so far. They will also have to make commitments upon the entitlement of the project, that we're committing to infrastructure, that we're committing park spaces, and that those park spaces will need to be delivered to the city in turnkey fashion. So we say, here's the key to this new park. It's ready to be managed and maintained. So all of those commitments will be within whatever entitlement the project receives. And so, there's ever project it is at that point, and when the land is then executed, it's their commitment, and they will need to bond with the city and make sure that the funds are there to follow through.
Okay, I thank you for your explanation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Yolanda, go ahead. You're not on mute, so we should be able to hear you.
I have one question here. For the number of housing units that are proposed, are the utilities going to be underground? Because the surrounding neighborhood, we still have poles, electrical poles, telephone poles. So how is that going to be manifesto?
Not only will the utilities be underground, but they will be paying undergrounding fees that will go towards undergrounding, hopefully in the community, nearby. But when developers take on a new site, they have to contribute an undergrounding fee that's dependent upon the feet of sidewalk, of linear sidewalk that they take up. So it should be a rather large commitment that they are putting into the pot to help other communities underground their utilities, and all new utilities on the site will be undergrounded.
Thank you.
Lorenzo, you're currently on mute. Go ahead, Lorenzo, you're not on mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to ask questions. The question I'm focused on is really kind of similar to a couple of other people's concerns, but more, I wanted to drill down a little bit further. So it has to deal with the utilities as well as public access to green spaces. I'm very huge an advocate on that. So I'm very pushed forward to really bring up to light the importance of public access to green spaces. But I guess the other thing that I'm really concerned about is you're adding 2,000 locations. So essentially roughly about 2 or more people per area. So at least four, if not 6,000 people that's going to be added to this area. And then there's vehicles. So I guess my question is not only are we investing in the utilities, but I think what's also important that we need to think about is the essential services, such as fire department, the nearest fire departments, adding a fire department for that and for this area. I'm concerned about the hospitals, being that there is the nearest trauma one hospital is now almost 11 miles away from this project, 12 miles away. I'm not saying that this builder needs to build a new hospital, but we need to think about urgent care. We need to think about other essential utilities or essential services that needs to be closer to this location. We keep on adding infrastructure and people and residences and businesses to the east side, but we're not managing the other essential services that we need for that. So I'm hoping that that can be brought up to light for that. Because other than just Valley Medical, like I said, between 10, 12 miles away, the only other hospital that's, I think, a level 2 or 3 is regional, which is 5 miles away. But even then, that's still a distance.
Right. It's a great question, Lorenzo. Thank you. We, as part of the entitlement process, we need to conduct a fiscal study. So we're going to conduct a fiscal study that shows the impact of this project on the city's general fund, which is what the city uses to fund its essential services. So half of that general fund is for police and fire, essentially. The other half is for the litany of other public services that the city itself provides. So we will have an opportunity to measure that impact and be able to have further conversation about essential services. Another point about on that topic is that this site is a county pocket. It's never been annexed into the city of San Jose. So currently, the county of Santa Clara provides services for this site, and an annexation will be a requirement of this entitlement. So as part of that, the county will transfer authority for those services over to the city, and the city wants to measure its capacity to take those on. And there might be negotiations between the city and the county, and there might be money that goes along with those negotiations to make sure that essential services aren't impacted. So you have the developers contributing, potentially you have potentially the county contributing, and you have the developers studying the impact, not only on essential services and the general fund, but we want to understand the impact, the total economic impact. And we are also mandated to study the impact on the jobs housing ratio in San Jose, which is a determinant of the city's fiscal health. And, that is a determinant of what essential services it can provide. So it's a good concern. Um, we are we are aware and concerned as well, and want to study that impact, and really make sure at the end of the day that neighbors are getting better services. They're getting enhanced service, and they're getting amenities that have been long sought after. As long as development has been talked about this site, neighbors in the community have been looking for amenities to be produced. And so, one of the things that we resoundingly heard through our outreach and through the guiding principles process is this site needs to draw people in. And that it can't be exclusive, but any amenities and neighborhood serving retail, it has to invite outside neighbors, existing residents to come into the site and enjoy those. So that's something that we have kept in mind, and not only trying to preserve that access, but how do we increase access and providing different routes and pedestrian only routes to get on the site and through the site to connect those green spaces. And one of the efforts that we're trying to make some progress on as well is seeing how we can connect our site with Lake Cunningham, and going to the state and looking for safe pedestrian options to make that happen as well. So connections and access are two of our guiding principles, I suppose, that we're looking towards as we plan this site, and we'll continue to as we move forward with the process. And we've still got a long ways to go.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Lorenzo.
No, I just said thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. It looks like that was the final question. I see no more. I want to thank Ryan for joining and presenting information, and I hope you all have a wonderful night.